Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is that time of the week again. It's another Premier League predictions video with another case and another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League action set to unfold before our very eyes. Big significance this week. There is one game in particular that will pit the top two in the division together, which is set to be a huge encounter between them two. But also there are all other games as well that will affect the entirety of the Premier League table in the run-in to Christmas, because this is your final round of fixtures before Christmas hits. We've got Thursday night action, we've got Friday night football, we've got Saturday football, and we've got Christmas Eve football as well to contend with, which is always going to be exciting and intriguing. The only downside is that there's only going to be 9 games in this round of fixtures due to Manchester City being off in the Club World Cup. So their game against Brentford has been postponed. But there is still plenty of football for us to sink our festive teeth into. This is obviously the video where I go through each and every single game, talk about them, and of course give my predictions. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And of course for you lot to get involved in the comment section down below. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions. But most of all, of course, predictions on how you think each and every single game will go this weekend. But without further ado, let's get on with the predictions. First up, we're going to start with Thursday night's action. And first up, we have got Crystal Palace taking on Brighton at Selhurst Park. We've got a Palace side looking to build upon their big point that they secured away from home against Manchester City last time out, whilst Brighton are looking to get back to winning ways after what has been a hit and miss start to this first half of the season. And last time out against Arsenal, they were on the losing end of a 2-0 scoreline. Big game for both of these sides. Palace, we know, have struggled at home a little bit. We know that obviously Selhurst Park can be an absolute fortress at times, and it can be very difficult to get anything from there. But of course, under Roy Hodgson, it hasn't exactly been the kind of solid platform that we know that teams like to build upon from home soil. Brighton, on the other hand, somewhat hit and miss. Good one week, poor the next. Play some good football still. Just are lacking. They are just lacking that spark, that energy that we normally associate with Brighton for. Could be a very difficult game for both of these sides. I'm going to lean more towards Brighton though and getting the 3 points. I think that point last week against City was a very good point for Palace to pick up. Might have papered over a few cracks, but it also might have given Roy Hodgson a bit more time to obviously see to get things right. But of course, a bad result here could obviously land him in a bit more hot water. So, whilst it's possible that Palace get something from this game, and they will battle hard as they always tend to do at Selhurst Park, I don't see it being enough. I'm going with a 2-1 scoreline in favour of the Seagulls. For our Friday night action, it comes from Villa Park as Aston Villa take on Sheffield United. What an opportunity this is for Aston Villa. They are high-flying right now. They find themselves in third, joint level on points with second place Liverpool, and a point behind Arsenal, which means that if they win this game, they could leapfrog both of them and take top spot for a matter of hours anyway. And with those two playing each other, of course, that could be a big opportunity for Aston Villa to take advantage of at least one of those two teams dropping points. Villa come into this game high-flying. They come into this game off the back of a 2-1 victory last weekend against Brentford. Sheffield United were beaten 2-0 by Chelsea. Chris Wilder is in desperate need of points, but he faces a monumental task of trying to beat the most informed team in the Premier League, trying to beat a side that has not lost at home all season. It is going to be a very big struggle for Sheffield United and for the relegation candidates known as the Blades. For me, nothing's ever a foregone conclusion. I'll always say that. But for me, there's only one winner, and that is Aston Villa in this fixture, which is why I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory in favour of the Villains and for them to take top spot, even if it is for a matter of just under 24 hours. Moving on to Saturday's games and our lunchtime kickoff, we'll see the London Stadium play host to West Ham against Manchester United. Massive game this one for both of these sides. You've got a West Ham side coming into this game on the back of a 3-0 victory against Wolves last weekend, whilst Man United managed to pull off a 0-0 draw, a goalless stalemate against Liverpool in their last encounter. Massive game. We know that West Ham can be somewhat hit and miss. They can be a bit of an awkward side. But it is going to be very interesting. Will West Ham's counter-attacking approach, and obviously David Moyes returning to haunt his former club of Manchester United, pay off in this game? Or will Manchester United take the confidence and the morale-boosting point that they picked up last weekend and maybe go on and build something upon that? It's going to be tough for United because West Ham are pretty strong when it comes to counter-attacking and take their chances very well this season. But alternatively, when West Ham are not in the best of form, they're not in the best of rhythm, they can look a little awkward and they can be there for the taking. They do look a little vulnerable. So it's whether or not both of these sides are going to turn up or not. It could be a very exciting and intriguing end-to-end sort of fixture, or it could be a very low-quality encounter, to say the least. It leaves the prediction very open to interpretation. For me personally, I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to say that this game will end 1-1, but I'm not entirely confident when all is said and done. Next up, one of the 3 o'clock games, we'll see Craven Cottage play host to Fulham against Burnley. Big game this one between two sides who are looking to get back to winning ways. You've got a Fulham side who lost 3-0 to Newcastle last time out, and a Burnley side who lost 2-0 to Everton. So both these sides looking to get back to winning ways. Fulham were free scoring before that last game, and Newcastle managed to find a way to neutralise them. I would suspect, though, that Fulham may get back to winning ways here against a Burnley side that are poor. They're not in the best of form, and they are very, very much struggling. And it's going to be interesting to see how Burnley cope with that. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion. Burnley, of course, can play some good football at times, but they just don't have the qualities necessary at either end of the pitch to either stop leaking stupid goals or to put away the chances when they present themselves, which is why I'm leaning more towards Fulham, and I'm going to go for a Fulham victory and say that Marco Silva's side come out of this one as 3-1 winners. Next up, we're at Kenilworth Road for a very intriguing clash between Luton and Newcastle. Luton, of course, last time out were forced to have their game suspended because of obviously what happened on the pitch to Tom Lockyer. Thank God he is okay. Thank God everything does seem okay there for him after obviously the horrible events that happened last weekend. Whilst Newcastle, of course, got back to winning ways of a 3-0 victory over Fulham last Saturday. Intriguing clash. We know that Luton at home can be a pretty tough nut to crack. Arsenal faced a bit of a scare there. Man United have faced a bit of a scare there. Even Manchester City a couple of weeks ago found them hard to break down. And of course, Luton did manage to get a point at home against Liverpool. Whilst Newcastle, away from home, haven't exactly been at their best. Their home form heavily outweighs their away form this season. They've not exactly been at their best. They'll fancy their chances against the Luton Town side, but they won't find it easy by any stretch of the imagination. I see Newcastle's just about edge it in quality, particularly in the final third, which is why I'm leaning towards more a Newcastle win, but at the same time, a draw genuinely wouldn't surprise me with how well Luton perform at home and with how poorly Newcastle have been in most parts for this season away from home. A draw wouldn't surprise me, but I think the edge in quality that Newcastle have will just tip the scales in their favour, which is why I'm going for a 2-1 victory in favour of the Magpies. Next up, we're at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth. Intriguing game this one between a Nottingham Forest side who are somewhat out of form and out of sorts under Steve Cooper, who is finding himself in increasingly hot water as the weeks go on. And this one could really be his final stand against a Bournemouth side who are in form. Very much in form. Very much one of the form teams in the Premier League right now and are looking to obviously stretch that run of form going into this game, which they will obviously find themselves potentially favourites and of course find it more favourable for them to do so. Bournemouth are my pick to win this one. Bournemouth are the favourites going into this one because of their run of form. Obviously, nothing's ever a foregone conclusion, and we know that Forest at home can be very difficult opposition. We know that Forest at home have really made City Ground a big fortress over their time staying in the Premier League. But this season so far, it hasn't quite clicked into gear for them. Forest obviously can get something from this game. We saw plenty of fight in their 2-0 defeat at Tottenham last weekend. It was just the quality of Tottenham that gave them the edge in this game. And I think it will be another case of that going forward in this one as well. I think it will be a case of Bournemouth just having a bit too much quality and being a bit more well drilled in the way that they approach the game. That will give them the overall edge, tip the scales in Bournemouth's favour. And with the form of, in particular, Dominic Solanke, I think he will be the difference maker on the day. So I'm going to go with a Bournemouth victory. I'm going to say that Steve Cooper is going to find himself in increasingly hot water after this game. Like I say, could potentially be his last stand as a Forest manager in this game. And I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory in favour of the Cherries, with Solanke continuing his goal-scoring form. Next up, a very intriguing clash between Tottenham and Everton. You've got a Tottenham side who have managed to put together a couple of back-to-back wins recently. Last time out, they won 2-0 against Nottingham Forest. You've got an Everton side who are in the form of their lives right now. And Sean Dyche is the mastermind and the brains behind all of that. With a 2-0 victory themselves against Burnley last week, they are in some very good form, to say the least. Very intriguing clash, this one. Very interesting when you put together these two sides, with Tottenham obviously the more free-flowing attacking football and Everton the more disciplined, solid and counter-attacking unit. It could make for a very interesting game with two very different and very contrasting styles of play. You've got the form of Everton, you've got the play of Tottenham. This is going to make for a very exciting game in my opinion, and one that I think that is not necessarily a foregone conclusion, and one that I think Everton can get something out of. Tottenham to win, they have the quality. They have the individual quality to produce the moments and individual moments of brilliance to get the game done and dusted. Of course they do. But Everton, this kind of siege mentality that Sean Dyche has built since the 10-point deduction has been incredible to watch. And that's why I think Everton can get something from this game. They play as a unit. They play as a force. I'm going to go with a draw here, and I'm going to say that this game ends 2-2 come the final whistle. What a game we have in store for you on Christmas Eve. Sunday the 24th of December, we'll see Wolves take on Chelsea at Molineux. An intriguing and exciting game in many ways between a Wolves side looking to get back to winning ways after a 3-0 defeat against West Ham last week, and a Chelsea side who beat Sheffield United by 2-0 in their last game. And it's intriguing and exciting because these are two teams that have probably played very, very good football, probably played very, very well all season, but they lack one key part of their game and their game plan. And that's putting the ball into the back of the net on a consistent and prolific enough basis. Neither side has the attacking force to do that. They play some good football, they're attractive, they're easy on the eye sometimes, play some good stuff, but they don't stick the ball away in the back of the net as often and as prolific as they would like to kill games off. This game could be one of the most exciting and entertaining games you might see this weekend, mixed with one of the most frustrating games that you see this weekend, because this one should promise goals galore, but depends on if their strikers and their attacking force turns up or not. Chelsea, every time I give a prediction on Chelsea, it seems to come off wrong, no matter what I predict. I honestly cannot. It's so difficult to predict Chelsea this year. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're okay. Yeah, I can never honestly guess a Chelsea result. Wolves, like I say, when they're good, they are very good. When they are bad, they are pretty bad. And when they're in the middle, you never know what to expect. So this game has got anything written all over it. It could genuinely finish any scoreline. So I'm just going to take a random stab in the dark. I could easily go for a Chelsea win, Wolves maybe to steal it. I'm going to call it down the middle, and I'm going to say that this game ends 1-1. I'm not entirely confident. I've got no idea what to expect from this game, but I know that I'm going to be entertained. So 1-1 come the final whistle. And finally, in what I believe to be the game of this round of fixtures, the main event of the Premier League action to come this weekend, it is at Anfield for Liverpool and their clash with Arsenal. Second takes on first. Jurgen Klopp against Mikel Arteta. This one is going to be a classic. You've got a Liverpool side who are looking to get back to winning ways after drawing with Manchester United in a very frustrating and angry draw last weekend against United. You've got an Arsenal side that are coming into this game in very good form, chasing Liverpool, and obviously got back to winning ways last weekend with a win over Brighton. 2-0 it finished on the day, with Mikel Arteta's side coming out as the winners. Leapfrogging Liverpool, taking back top spot. It's at Anfield, a place notorious to Arsenal as not exactly being too kind to them. This was obviously a bit of a slipping point for Arsenal last season in obviously the run into the Premier League title. This was one of the games where Arsenal led in and led seemingly pretty comfortably before Liverpool managed to fight back to 2-2. This has got a lot riding on it. Even at this stage of the season, as we approach the halfway point, this has got a lot riding on it because Arsenal can lay down a real statement of intent with a win in this game. Not only did they beat Liverpool and they add a second defeat to Liverpool's accumulation this season, but they also beat them at Anfield. They're unbeaten at Anfield so far this season, and of course Anfield is a notoriously tough place to go for any team, and of course Arsenal may be able to beat them there, lay down that massive statement. And I've got to say, with the form and the football that they're playing right now, they may have a very good opportunity to do that. But they've got to learn from their past mistakes. They can't let the crowd get too much into them, because if the crowd do, it picks up Liverpool and they get a second win from nowhere. And that's what hurt them last season, and it's hurt them time and time again in years gone by. The Anfield crowd is somewhat of a mental block to Arsenal. People will maybe laugh at that and say, oh, but the Anfield crowd doesn't really exist. It's a myth. No, it genuinely does exist, and Arsenal have felt that on numerous occasions, time and time again. They need to learn from their mistakes. Alternatively, Liverpool have not been playing particularly well, but they managed to be grinding out results. This now makes it a must-win game because of obviously what happened with Liverpool against Manchester United last week. Liverpool need to turn up in this game, and I feel like they will have a good opportunity to turn up and show what they're all about, because Arsenal won't be like Manchester United or the previous teams that have gone to Liverpool or the face of Liverpool. Arsenal won't defend in a low block. Arsenal won't sit 10 men behind the ball like previous teams have in previous weeks. They will come out and they will attack Liverpool. They'll try and obviously get back and obviously recover, but most importantly, it will allow Liverpool to either hit Arsenal on a counter-attack or maybe try and play through them. It's going to be an open game. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to make for an exciting and entertaining watch, I'm sure. But Arsenal will play into Liverpool's hands just as much as Liverpool will play into Arsenal's hands. And then it's all about the quality of finishing. I've been critical of Arsenal's attacking force this season, and I question whether or not it's clinical enough and prolific enough. This is going to be a game in which we're going to see whether it is or not. And of course, they have to obviously get past the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson Becker in saying that. For Liverpool, I've constantly said that they do have the best attacking force in the world. We just haven't seen it enough this season. And they've got to get past a goalkeeper who is very inconsistent this season so far during this campaign. It's going to make for an exciting clash. It's going to make for a very intriguing clash. And if I had to pick a winner, judged on form and judged on how both sides have been playing recently, I've got to go with Arsenal. However, it is at Anfield. It is going to be tough. And I see Liverpool getting out with a point. I think it's going to end in a draw. I think Liverpool and Arsenal will have to be forced to share the spoils. And that will obviously be very good to hear if you're an Aston Villa fan and you're obviously going up against Sheffield United this weekend, a much more favourable tie over these two. But I have to go with a draw. Like I say, I would be leaning more towards Arsenal winning, and I never want to back against Liverpool. I never do. But I am a little bit worried with the way that we've been playing recently that Arsenal could win this game. But I think we will get a draw. I think the Anfield crowd will play its part, and I think Liverpool will get away with it. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw come the final whistle. And there you have it. Those are just my thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all predictions on each and every single game to come up in this next round of Premier League action and next round of Premier League fixtures for this weekend. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the games coming up this weekend? And what are your own thoughts, comments, opinions? But most of all, of course, what are your own predictions on each and every single game coming up in another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League fixtures? Let me know down below in the comment section because I'd love to hear from you all on that. As always, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fetch. This has been another Premier League predictions video. Take care. Thanks everyone for stopping by and watching. Have a good Christmas to each and every single one of you. Hope it is great for each and every single one of you in the build up to Christmas. Hope you're all enjoying it. Yeah, thanks everyone for stopping by. Take care. Have a good Christmas. Stay safe. And I'll see you and speak to you all again soon in another video. Peace. Take care, people.